This is Mac OS Ken.
The Motley Fool plots an ideal course for Apple, a perplexing change for iPhone and Apple Card, and filmmakers flip over Apple Vision Pro possibilities. It is Friday, the 16th of June, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Use code MacOSKen50 at factormeals.com/MacOSKen50 for 50% off your first box. This show is also sponsored by SimpliSafe, the right way to protect your home. You've heard me talk about SimpliSafe for a while now. You know they were named Best Home Security of 2023 by U.S. News & World Report, and you know how easy a SimpliSafe system is to set up. I had my sensors, keypad, and base station up and running in well under an hour. Well, here's something you may not know. They are always working on the next thing to help keep your home, your loved ones, and you safe. For example, their new 2-in-1 smoke and CO detector. It is next-generation hazard detection that distinguishes between fire and cooking smoke, so your home is protected and you get fewer false alarms. With SimpliSafe's 24/7 professional monitoring service, trained agents stand ready to respond in an emergency, sending police, firefighters, or EMTs to your home, even if you're away or can't be reached. You get attention like that for under $1 a day. See how SimpliSafe can protect your home. Right now, get 20% off your new system when you sign up for interactive monitoring. Visit simplisafe.com/MacOSKen. SIMPLI. That's simplisafe.com/MacOSKen. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. The Motley Fool has mixed a cocktail that could juice Apple shares. After a few paragraphs on why investors have yet to be turned on by Apple Vision Pro, it costs a lot, it's not coming out until next year, mixed reality is an unproven market for Apple. Yeah, after all of that, the site sees reasons to be excited for, you want to guess, you never will, okay, I'll tell you, iPhone. It's stuff we've heard before, but mixed together, like a cocktail. Points hit include a belief held by Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives that about 250 million iPhones are ripe for an upgrade, having not been upgraded in 4 years or more. A recent assertion by consumer intelligence research partners that the average selling price for iPhone is close to $1,000, and data from market tracker IDC that, though down a bit, sales of iPhone are faring better than sales of other smartphones. Stir, strain, pour, and garnish, and you've got something tasty as far as the Fool is concerned. The way the site sees it, assuming Apple manages to increase its iPhone average sales price to $1,000 when it launches the next iPhone, the company's potential revenue opportunity from the device could be a massive $250 billion based on the 250 million iPhones that are in an upgrade window as per Wedbush. That is a lot of if this, then that. And there's more of that where this came from. According to the Fool, iPhone accounts for about 55% of Apple's revenue. Analysts expect Apple to deliver $384 billion in revenue in the current fiscal year, according to the report. $211 billion of that would be thanks to iPhone, based on its 55% status. If everything but iPhone stays as is, and if iPhone does deliver that $250 billion, Apple's fiscal year 24 revenue could hit $423 billion. Of course, things aren't likely to stay as is. considering the potential growth of Apple's services business and new products such as the Vision Pro. The Motley Fool says there is a possibility Apple's top line might exceed $423 billion in fiscal 24. If this, then that. You know what might help Apple go higher still? Secret dealings. And 9to5Mac thinks Apple may be up to some. According to fine print on Apple's site, Apple Card financing for iPhone purchases is changing month after next. Beginning the 15th of August, according to the report, Apple says that it will no longer allow customers to purchase SIM-free iPhone models using Apple Card financing. Instead, carrier connection with AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon will be required. Previously, the report goes on to say, Apple allowed buyers to purchase an iPhone with the Connect to a Carrier Later option. This option means users are free to use the iPhone without a cellular connection or via any carrier of their choosing. For instance, the site says you could connect an iPhone purchased with this option to a carrier such as Mint Mobile or Google Fi. It's not that you won't be able to buy an unlocked iPhone. In fact, the phone you buy will still be unlocked, according to the report, though the chosen carrier connection will be required at the time of setup. You'll even be able to buy one financed through Citizens Bank with no chosen carrier, but the report explains that that requires users to apply for a loan, go through a credit check, and potentially impact their credit score, even if they already have an Apple Card account. Now, if you're wondering why this Apple Card benefit is going away, this is where 9to5Mac suspects secret dealings. Quoting the speculation part of the piece, the site guesses that Apple is making this change in part due to pushback from carriers who may have noticed a decline in customers buying connected iPhones due to the Apple Card monthly installments option. Apple, however, hasn't officially given any reasoning for this change. iPhone is not the only Apple gear to see Apple Card financing terms shift. In the same fine print, the piece says Apple says the term for Apple Card monthly installments for Apple Watch will be reduced from 24 months to 12. Apple's Big Bam Beta Parade is on the move again. A few pieces from Mac Rumors say Apple has released the third developer betas of iOS and iPadOS 16.6, macOS Ventura 13.5, watchOS 9.6, hey, look who's keeping up, and tvOS 16.6. The Mac Rumors pieces stress that these releases are developer releases available to registered developers. Of course, we heard last week that anyone can enroll in a free version of Apple's developer program, which would give them access to the developer betas. All you need is an Apple ID and a device or devices on which to run said software. Seriously, though, make it a spare device or a test device. Please. For me. More news in a moment, but first a word from Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit and sponsor of today's show. Summer is in the air. Do you really want to spend it in the kitchen? Let Factor take care of the planning, the shopping, and the prep. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat, enjoy, then go have fun. Now, heat and eat doesn't always mean good, but it does with Factor. Every meal I've had with Factor has been fantastic, from the sun-dried tomato chicken on their keto menu to the al pastor shredded pork on the calorie counter. The sauces are great, the sides are great, and the proteins, I don't know why the chicken Factor makes is so much better than the chicken I make, but it is truly great. With over 30 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved options every week, I am sure you'll find meals that you will love. Head to factormeals.com/macOSKen50 and use code macOSKen50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50 to get 50% off your first box. Taste what has made Factor America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Get 50% off your first box with code macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50. While the Motley Fool says investors have yet to be wowed by Apple Vision Pro, segments of Hollywood seem to have been bowled over by it. The Hollywood Reporter reached out to people they ID as some of the entertainment industry's top tech pros to get their reactions to Apple's device. Pulling parts from some of those, Ben Grossman, founder and CEO of content tech studio Magnopus, says, once Hollywood studios wrap their heads around what's possible, we'll start to see waves of new experiences getting produced that take advantage of the extended canvas. Content creators have always been sensitive to the audience's second screen experience, the idea that people are watching TV while looking at their iPad or iPhone for contextual information. Apple's Vision Pro might be described as an infinite screen experience. Michael Cioni, founder of post-production company Light Iron. I think it's a bit early to say we'll all be wearing $3,500 ski goggles all day, but then again, most of us didn't think we'd all be wearing fashionable $250 headphones most of the day either. Apple said they want Vision Pro to create deeply personal experiences. This means filmmakers have a new medium in which to enhance their stories. Dimitri Portelli, 3D stereographer and supervisor on the Martin Scorsese film Hugo, says, I'm thrilled that stereo imaging is the experiential landscape inside this headset for all applications, while displaying photo and video content at the high level that Hollywood professionals always intended. This feels like the future has arrived. I have high hopes for a democratization of stereo imaging enabled through Apple's user-friendly interface. This accessibility has been needed for quite some time. And finally, after pointing out times that Apple's offerings have followed the competition, there were smartwatches before Apple Watch, there were wireless headphones before AirPods. After that, Chuck Parker, CEO of tech developer SohoNet, predicts the AR/VR goggles are probably in a similar place. Apple has been deciding how to make this a game changer, and while it will be slow for the next 2 to 3 years, we will wake up one day in the near future to a new Apple-dominated category. Their full thoughts were a bit more nuanced than that. If you're interested in hearing what people at that intersection are saying, I would encourage you to seek out the full article. You can find it on the Hollywood Reporter site or in Apple News. And finally today, when it comes to film distribution, Apple TV Plus may be holding tryouts, or it might be playing it safe. A piece from IndieWire says Apple has 3 big films headed for theatrical release before they start streaming. Killers of the Flower Moon, which opens later this year, Napoleon, which also opens later this year, and Argylle, the Matthew Vaughn spy thriller starring Henry Cavill, which opens in early 2024. The theatrical releases are not surprising. Apple's done that on a smaller scale with such films as Coda, Emancipation, and the documentary The Velvet Underground. The surprising part, according to IndieWire, is that Apple hasn't settled on a single distribution partner for what are probably going to be blockbusters. The piece says Killers of the Flower Moon will be distributed by Paramount Pictures, Napoleon will be released by Sony, and Argyle will see distribution through Universal. And my first thought was that Apple didn't want to be beholden to any one studio. Get locked in, and you're locked in, giving your partner leverage down the line. IndieWire sees a different possibility, though. That site was the one that floated the idea that Apple jumping from deal to deal is starting to feel like tryouts. To be fair, the piece points out that Killers of the Flower Moon originated at Paramount, making that studio a notch for distribution. As for future films, IndieWire could see Apple buying a studio and turning that into its distribution arm. Of course, it could also settle on a suitor, or just keep playing the field. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Simply Safe. Get 20% off your new system when you sign up for interactive monitoring at simplysafe.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Factor. Use code macOSKen50 at factormeals.com/macOSKen50 for 50% off your first box. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macOSKen.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.